Hey YouTube, we're going to be watching a couple games from the RLCS Fall Majors Grand Final. So if you're not interested in spoilers, make sure you watch this after you have watched the RLCS. But if you watched it live, feel free to hang out and watch a couple of these games from the players who played its perspective. We're going to start here tied in Game 5, the series 2-2 between Gen.G and Moist, and we are going to watch from apparentlyjack's perspective, talk a bit about his play, and talk a bit about the journey that Jack took to get to this position, because it has been a very interesting one. If you haven't been following the RLCS, Jack and his teammate Nully coming from England over to North America to play in the RLCS from a region they've been excited to be a part of and picking up Chronic in the process. But Jack, he has been looking for success for a long time. He got close to finding that kind of success last year. If you remember last year, playing alongside Jorias and Scrub on Dignitas, they looked like the best team in the Fall Major. That first Fall Major after coming back since COVID, you'll remember Dignitas crushed. I believe they didn't even lose a single game in the Swiss on their way, prepping, and I think was everybody's favorite coming into the final day, but then they couldn't get out of the quarterfinals, and since then have not been able to put up anywhere near as solid results. So that was Jack, Jorias, and Scrub all looking for what the answer was for them. Turns out for Jack, it's grabbing Nully and moving over to North America. Lots of stuff happened in this major if you weren't paying attention. In fact, if you've been watching Jack and Jorias because you watch this channel and you know about 1v1s, you know they used to be teams or teammates, but they aren't anymore. They actually met in this major. Jorias joining Oxygen alongside Archie and Ollie, and they were actually a team that went 3-0. They met Gen.G in the Swiss and took them down, I believe, in a sweep, or at least very confidently, and that was Gen.G's only loss. So Jorias had the edge over Jack. The problem is that the major for Jorias went the same as it did last time, the Fall Major. He went 3-0 and then could not get out of the first round after losing to, I believe it was FaZe. So Jack maybe didn't get the head-to-head redemption on Jorias like he maybe would have wanted, but I think he's going to be happy with the result that ends up happening in this major. So one of the things I wanted to point out about Jack and about Nully and about this major win is a great slot top left from Jack to get the first goal of this Game 5 on Wasteland, is that I am only tangentially aware of how much grinding these players do. I think lots of players are fairly private. They don't stream. They don't do YouTube videos. They aren't as public figures, so it's hard to know how hard they're grinding. But Jack specifically, but also Nully, who were living in Canada. They lived in Canada the majority of the split at the Shopify Rebellion's facility. They didn't even exist in a Gen.G space. I think Shopify maybe, did a favor or whatever, or Gen.G worked something out with them in order to make this happen. This is a great 50, by the way, by Jack on Joyo, by Jack on Joyo to get the ball to Nully for the finish. But as I was saying, I think what ended up happening is they almost kind of locked themselves away into the facility at the Rebellion setup and just grinded like crazy. Jack is very public facing, so you could tell his streams, his YouTube videos, his Rocket League presence. I mean, he mentioned how it's just basically wake, eat, Rocket League, sleep, repeat. Just absolutely insane read, by the way, from here, from Astral's attempted clear to get 4-0. This is 3 goals, a hat trick for Jack, and an assisted goal to Nully as well. So absolutely an insane performance from Jack. It's crazy to see it all come together for him, and off the back of an insane grind, it just makes sense. When these top players put in the crazy work, you want to see them get rewarded for it. You want to see that matters. I don't know if you guys have heard about Jorias and Archie and some other players who apparently get to play on very little hours and still be good, and I think that's almost a little bit frustrating for me to hear about. I'm sure it's frustrating for other people to hear about or play against, knowing that they almost never play the game and yet they can still be top level. Well, you don't have to worry about that now. Jack and Nully, and I assume Chronic, but he also has school, grinded hard in this split and showed what you can get as a result of that. So I am very impressed with their performance, and I'm excited to watch from Jack's perspective here in this game number 5 that was definitely one of the games that led towards his eventual MVP winning. I know we're slightly trying to hide the result, but you guys should know by now if you stepped in and you can tell who we're watching. But Jack winning the overall MVP for the tournament alongside his Gen G teammates, and I think this game is certainly one of the games that was fresh in people's minds when it came time to vote at the end of the tournament. So we're going to be watching in game number 2 as well. We're going to watch a little bit of both the other players' perspectives on this team because it really was a full team effort. I think that's one of the things that people really noticed about this Gen G squad is how much they are selfless in their process of looking for wins. One of the reasons why they did so well in this fall major. So a few more seconds to count down this game. Moist, believe it or not, do not end up scoring 3 here in the final moments. So we will head to the final game and talk a little bit about the other 2 players on this championship team. We're going to start this game number 6 on Chronic's perspective. Chronic joining Gen G after only playing with a couple other teams in the past around the bubble scene of North America. He was definitely known as a North American bubble player, but a very solid one nonetheless. In fact, we had the opportunity to follow Chronic a little bit closer than maybe some other people did as he gets a soft touch. Nice potential bump attempt from Nully to keep Joyo down there in order to make that possible for Chronic, but still really good 1-2 placement from him to get his team the edge in this final game. But as I was saying, we have a special connection with Chronic. If you watch the streams, we actually followed the randoms fairly closely. I think we might have put 1 or 2 videos up on YouTube of us watching the randoms. They were able to beat NRG in one of the first games that we had on their stream in day 1. And one of the things about Chronic's performance on that team is that he was always solid. You know, Chronic, Knight, and 2-Piece, not to put down the other players who actually have good RLCS teams for themselves as well. 2-Piece is part of Shopify, which is actually the place that, you know, Jack and Nully ended up hanging out in. But they played well in RLCS, and then Knight even qualified with his team Soul a couple times. But the thing about Chronic is that he was always consistent. Every time with the randoms, he may not have always played as their best player, but he was always either their second best player or their best player, if not, you know, just doing everything on the field. And it's that kind of consistency that maybe has, you know, played into being a part of this team so well. This was a very important missed shot. I think everybody watching this live, this opportunity for Chronic, felt like if you let Moist take it to Game 7, then you could be in big trouble. And the fact that Chronic got almost nothing on that shot was a little worrisome. You know, the tide felt like it was turning one single goal in favor of Moist, and then you go into Game 7 where they just won the previous game. Could be a big sweat. So Chronic's miss there was, you know, having everybody who was rooting for Gen G holding their breath. But this guy, he's too good. He can't be held back forever. And now you're going to see just what he does in the rest of this game. Chronic has been a mechanical mastermind for this squad. A little of a mistake between Jack and Chronic there. The panic seemed to turn up slightly, but Nully and Jack, they have been quite the duo, finding each other this time just in the clear. Chronic swing wide, super deep third right now as Joyo tries to pop off. You need somebody to just challenge to force him to make a play. Jack is back there to make that save. Joyo, high chip. Chronic had tried a crazy preview day. I don't think it was wrong to move up there. They needed to do something to try and make Moist feel uncomfortable. Chronic last back needed a perfect half flip. That was a big miss by Joyo in the moment. They were potentially going to be attacking on a late retreating Gen G, but instead the miss means Chronic can stay alive. He's spending a lot of time here in this game as the last back. Soft touch to make sure he can get that corner boost, and crazy double 50 from his teammates. He's able to hold them off as well. And it's a tie game. Chronic camping underneath this boost. It's going to spawn only right after he leaves it. Chronic did not show a ton of nerves as he played on his first LAN. Gen G looked solid their first few games. It was only that Oxygen gameplay that didn't go well for them. Booming clear from Jack. Chronic deep. Sees Astral and Joyo trying to work through, but the 50s from the squad were everything they needed in the final moments. Chronic off the ceiling in order to stop Astral and make it a play. Jack wins that 50 out, and Chronic, you just see just waiting for his opportunity to strike, and Noli and Jack connect. This is such an insane shot. Top shelf and down. And in this moment, we're going to switch. We're going to switch and hop over to Noli to talk a little bit about his performance and everything that he's done, how he got here. He was a absolute team player on every team he's been on. You know, he's kind of an up-and-coming player. I think he won Rising Star or something like that. Some kind of up-and-coming player award from the Player Choice Award. Not the Player Choice Awards, but the Fan Choice Awards that Johnny held. So he's going to be front man here as Moist are able to tie it up. 44 seconds left to go. And like I said before, and it's still the case, you can't let Moist go to Game 7. So Gen G sweating certainly in this game. Ended up getting kicked from KC, and Moist ended up having one of their team members stolen from KC. So there's a lot of context from these two teams around the KC team that came in as the #1 seed that everyone expected to play well, but Moist had actually already gotten rid of them. I think Noli said in an interview he really wanted to beat KC himself, but turns out he was never given the opportunity. Instead, his opponents here were the ones to take KC out. But 10 seconds left to go. Jack off the corner. Look at that open net that Noli has the wherewithal not to shoot on. I think this blew everybody's mind in the final moments. Gen G see this opportunity. Astral and Joyo both coming from the left side of the net. Everyone's expecting Noli to try and place top right, and it's not a super easy shot to make. I mean, certainly that's where he could aim for it, and I think Astral and Joyo are prepping for it. And you even see Astral jump. He jumps because he's expecting that shot to come right now, and he needs to get ready for it. Instead, Noli looks down to Jack, and Jack gets to attack a Joyo who just came off the back wall expecting a shot, and an Astral who already pre-jumped expecting a shot. And instead, Jack finishes it off. The ultimate team player, Noli, does it for the squad, puts his team up with 4 seconds left to go. And if you saw it live, then you know what happens in the final 4 seconds. But such an exciting squad to watch. Noli, Jack, Chronic, I mean, these are 1v1 guys. These two right here are big 1v1 guys, as you know. If you've been following the channel for a while, you've seen them and everything they've been able to do. But Noli actually grinding ones recently as well, maybe inspired by his teammates who do it so well. The Gen G squad, they got it done. Are we going to see them do it more in the future? I don't know. We'll have to see as we head to the winter split.